Hey, this is Raven Belasco. I'm here because there's been some requests by the fans of the Blood and Ancient Scrolls series for me to go through the Ammer Dictionary and just talk about how the words are pronounced. Since I'm here, I'll give you a little backstory about the language and the words themselves. The first and most important thing is that this language was built from three different base languages, two of which are living languages and one of which is a dead language. And I wanted that to make sure that the feel of the language, as you saw it on the page and said it in your mind or out loud, directed you towards the evolution, the origin and the evolution of the Ammer. So, in a way, the language is a hint, an Easter egg dropped into the books from the very beginning of Baghamil's story and where the Ammer came from. And then it also helped me as a writer to have building blocks to build to the language. So, with no further ado, the Ammer Dictionary. And before we get started, our pointer today is a beautiful blade that was given to me to celebrate the books. Anyone who has read them will recognize the shaping on the blade is like Noosh's obsidian dagger that was given to her by Bagamil. This is obviously not. It is Damascus steel, which I have a fondness for. And it's much bigger than the blade Sama. But I thought it would make a perfect pointer today. So, our first word is Edharmhem. It looks like a long word, but if you let it just roll out of your mouth, Edharmhem, it's a lot shorter when you say it, and easier than maybe you think when you first see it. The whole Ammer language is pretty much like that. So this is the word for one who endangers the Ammer, or for the act of endangering the Ammer as a whole. And this is the only thing that can get you punished in Ammer society. Otherwise, you are completely free to do whatever you want to do. Just if, another Ammer doesn't like it and they're stronger than you, they might stop you because they don't like it. But this is something that if a group of Ammer come together and say, this other Ammer is committing Edharmhem, then they can just go off, dispatch you, and no one can use that as a justification for revenge, assuming that this Ammer has any friends who want to avenge them. But this is the only thing that you can do that other Ammer will all agree, yes, this Ammer needs to go. Otherwise, it's all just personal grudges. And it's not a particularly safe life being an Ammer, as anyone who reads the books knows. That was Edharmhem. Our next word is Asta. This word means something like a coma for key, which is humans. We'll get to that word. If you drain an Ammer of their blood or put them in a situation where they're deprived of oxygen for too long, they will fall into this state. Because they're Ammer, it's an unchanging state, but it's basically like being in a coma. They are helpless. They're not able to think, they're not able to move, they're frozen. At that point in time, either their enemies can take them out, which is a theme you may notice in this dictionary, or then they can be brought back to life, and we'll talk about how the Ammer do that in an upcoming word. So, Asta. Now we have Ammer, which is basically the most important word of all, because it is the vampire's word for themselves, as a culture and individually, we are Ammer, I am Ammer. So words shape minds. And so this word in particular shapes how they see themselves. And I have a note here. So if the English language, vampire is it's a pretty generalized word. You could mean a lot of things with that. A lot of different types of vampires, psychic vampires, or blood-drinking vampires. In Romanian, the people who would know about vampires, there's a more specific term, strigoi mort, which means a dead vampire. And so that is the best way to describe the Ammer, as we will see in an upcoming word. Our next word is Ammer Nafsh. I know that this word has given people a little pause when they first saw it. But it's really easy if you just go for it. It's Ammer, you already got that one, and then you just kind of squish the rest of the sounds together, so Nafsh. We just talked about how an Ammer was a strigoi mort, a dead vampire. From Romanian, they also have the term strigoi viu, and that means a living vampire. And in the world of the Ammer, once you have shared blood 3 times, exchanged blood 3 times with an Ammer, if you are a living person or key, then you become or are changed into an Ammer Nafsh. This is a rather delicate state of being where you have more strength than the average person, almost said than the average bear, but you smell very attractive to the other Ammer, and you are going to be getting a lot of attention you might not otherwise want from those Ammer. You provide extra sustenance to the Ammer who turned you, who one assumes you are still with, but it's a condition that, if you read the books, the protagonist Noosh doesn't really enjoy very much. It's pretty fraught, and in the Ammer world, there is a tendency to keep your Ammer Nafsh away from the rest of the Ammer, just to prevent anything untoward from going down. So that is Ammer Nafsh. Okay, here, moving along from like a whole bunch of nouns, we have Eojask Amritav. Another one that probably people were like, how the hell do I say that? With the Ammer language, it's really best to just sort of don't think about it too much and just jump in. So this is just a phrase that Ammer will use with each other that means strength and immortality. It's a greeting. It's a, yeah, I agree with you. What you said, like, yay. It can be used also as a goodbye. It is a pretty all-purpose term, and it's really what the Ammer are about. In their society, the strength is everything. No longer are there the prejudices that exist in normal human society. Instead, it's, are you weaker than me? Am I stronger than you? Let's find out. So things get resolved pretty quickly, generally. And then immortality, clearly they don't have it quite as much as they might need it, because a lot of Amur make poor undeath choices and are Amur no longer. But they tend to, if you don't make a stupid choice, you are immortal. So that's how they see themselves, even if the Amur death rate is actually still pretty high. So now we get to some really fun stuff, because we start getting to plurals, which gets pretty exciting in this language. So, eogist or eogistage. And looking at that page, I did not put the pronunciation for the plural, so any librarian looking at me now, or dictionary writer, is going to be a little disappointed. Sorry, guys, let you down. So the eogist is the eldest, or an elder. The actual eldest of all is called the eogist of eogistage. And that means a lot, as I said with the last word, to the Amur, because the longer you manage to stay alive, the stronger you get. So eldest means strongest as well, and confers the only real respect that Amur have for others. The next word is, I'm sure everyone's like, what are you doing here? Bakheb Vunhu. Again, just jump into it. Just Bakheb Vunhu. Roll out your mouth. If you pause for too long, you'll trip up over your tongue. But if you just go for it, you're fine. This is a very specific Amur term, and it's used for someone who gives blood as a gift of strength. And this is always specifically for going from a stronger Amur to a weaker Amur, or to a key. And giving strength, giving especially the strength from your own body, like, that's the biggest gift you can give in the Amur world. It doesn't get better than that. So once you have this relationship of being a Bakheb Vunhu for another Amur, like, there's a tie now between you two. I suppose not dissimilar from if you rescue someone, there's a tie between you, the rescuee and the rescuer. This is an incalculable gift, and so there is a connection always, through the act of giving, and also through the blood itself. Here we have a nice little word, Sinya. It is the term of endearment that comes down directly from the language that Baghamil spoke when in the Amur origin stories, and it means my lover, my beloved, and that's all you need. It's just a term of endearment, and it's nice to know that the Amur actually have these things. There we go. The next word, it looks huge, it looks terrifying. Don't worry, you got this. Fraheshteshnesh. I've said before that the Amur language is one that you should imagine that you have longer canines in your mouth when you're saying. So, this is Fraheshteshnesh. You got those teeth in the way, and you can clearly hear it in this word. This is the first blood meal, since when you awake as an Ammer, you won't be eating anything else for the rest of your life, undeath. So when you awaken from dying as a human, as a mortal human, and you wake up into your undeath, um, you're hungry, you're starving. Those words don't do it justice. You need sustenance, and you will do anything to get the sustenance that you need. And that first meal is absolutely vital, and so that's why there is a term for it, the Ferhesh Teshnesh. Next one, Frankulat. There's a lot of letters in there, but once you start saying it, they all kind of come together, and it's not too hard. This is basic feeding. There's nothing else. There's no other emotional component to it. This is taking food from a key. It's the closest thing the Ammer have to stopping and getting fast food. This is just shoving a burger down your face as you're driving somewhere you're not even thinking about eating. That's the Ammer version of that. You are getting sustenance because you have to eat to keep going. Another sweeter word. There aren't too many of these in the Ammer language, so let's enjoy them when they come up. For the Puthra, the singular, or for the Puthreish. This is not just a term meaning, I've made you into a vampire. I'm the one who gave you the blood that changed you, but it means beloved child in the language. There is an emotional component, and this is a term that will be used for the rest of that Ammer's life/undeath. It doesn't matter, like, if you're an Ammernosh and you change and you become an Ammer, the person who gave you blood will still call you for the Puthra. And that bond is there. You might split up and go to various parts of the world and not see each other again for decades. But when you do see each other again, that bond will still be there. So Ammer can't have children, obviously, the way we can. This is how they reproduce, and there is the same level of commitment and affection for your offspring built in. Another nice one, Garpatar. This, because the Ammer are so caught up on the strength of long life, it makes sense that there's a term, and we're a little ahead of ourselves. We'll be coming up on Patar, which is the maker of a for the Puthra. This means grandfather, the maker of my maker, the bloodline that spawned me. So there is a respect, maybe not the same level of emotional connection, but they're using this term connotes respect. Here we have, again, a singular and plural combo, Izcha and Izcha-eish. This is, moving away from the nice words again, like a sacrifice. This is used for a mortal human, and this is someone who the Ammer chooses will give them blood. I would like to say that it's always all, consensual, but you have to work out in your own mind whether being mesmerized counts as consent. There are plenty of people in this world who would be very happy to be bitten by a vampire. But when you are feeding on a mortal, and it's that whole situation with the getting some fast food keep you going, you might not have time to go out and find the nearest vampire fetishy goth person. So again, not the nicest term from a culture that's a little not so nice. So I've been mentioning key, which, yay, monosyllabic, like single syllable. This one's not hard. Like, no one has any trouble with this one. No one complains about this one. This is us. This is you and me in our living human society, going along having no idea that the Amor are out there. So this is just the word they use for us. Here we have Madak. This is a problem that keeps cropping up in the Amor series. This is the way that you can take an extremely powerful being and put them out of commission, make them not be a threat to you. It is a poison that you give to an Ischa. It does not affect the living human. Doesn't make them drunk or happy or anything like that. All it does is when an Amor feeds from their blood, drinks from them, that Amor is poisoned, knocked out. It's not a fun experience. It is a very bad trip, and you are helpless the whole time. So you definitely do not want to get... let me jump right now to the next word. A medakio, which is simply corrupted with Madak. A human being who has been fed Madak, knowingly or unknowingly, by an Amor. And that's what every Amor wants to avoid, real seriously wants to avoid. Because while you are in that state, you are helpless. Your enemies can do whatever they want with you. And when you wake up, you're going to really feel like shit. So worse than any hangover you've ever had. So we've talked about Patar. This is a Paterkosh. This is a word for an Amor who kills their Patar. This is another... Well, I said there was only one crime amongst the Amor, but this one's pretty frowned upon. And if another Amor is looking to kill you, this is an excuse. They don't need an excuse, but it's a good excuse if they feel like finding one. Any Amor who is thought to be a Paterkosh is definitely going to be shunned if they try to be active with other Amor. And it's not technically like a capital punishment, but yeah, it's just something that is very frowned upon in Amor culture. You're supposed to respect your Patar, and they brought you into this world. You're not supposed to take them out of it. But the fact that there's a word for it means it happens. Finally, I've been saying Patar all this time. Here's the word itself. just means parent or maker, to use terms from other vampire novels. Um, I don't need to say any more. Another word that probably gives people some pause before they try to say it out loud. Tokmarenk. Again, just start the word and then let it happen, and you'll be fine. I've talked about how Ammer finish each other off. This is it. Right here, this is the word for that. This is a death that, unlike the death you had before, which we're coming up on, this is the one you don't rise from again. That was your final, like, you've already raised once, enjoyed your undeath for however long you got to enjoy it, and this is a death that is caused by beheading, maybe utter destruction of the heart, but I wouldn't want to chance it. Fire is the best method. If you burn an Ammer down to ash, they ain't coming back. And that's the general attitude of all the Ammer, is why chance it? You know, why leave an enemy that could slowly grow back, get their strength, when I could just leave a pile of ash that will never bother me again. So you've seen this as a component. Let's get the pointer in there. Wound. And this was fun to do because you don't need anything else. It's blood. So you've seen this as a component in other words. So far, it's been very hard talking about the Ammer without using this word. Wound is everything. It is the sustenance you need. It is the drug that gets you high. It is life itself. The blood is the life, to quote a certain book you may have read at some point in your life. So, because this word is so important, we are now going to have a whole bunch of words that this word is a component of. Vun Anya. Don't be worried about all the letters, just say Anya. So this is the bloodline. For you, when you're an Ammer or an Amernafsh, this is the bloodline that you carry in you. And more than that, it is an influence on your powers as an Ammer, your strengths or weaknesses. It is also a way that other Ammer know information about you, like who your Patar is. A lineage will have commonalities in how they smell. And Ammer have a very strong sense of smell. That's one of the strengths that is common to all. And so when you walk up to if you are an Amernafsh or an Ammer and you walk up to another Ammer, or even have passed in the room before them, they will smell you and they'll be like, okay, you know, even if they've never met you before, they can be like, oh, you know, that's one of Sandu's get. You know, that's for the Puthreish, see, even I have trouble sometimes, you know, of Sandu. And then either they know you or they already know something about you. Let me just move that so you can see it better. There we go. Vun Berefte. This is just the simple act of bloodletting. When your whole world centers around blood, there's a lot of words to talk about it. And a lot of words you'll notice have been nouns or phrases or, you know, things like that. Finally, we have a verb here for you. It is just the act of bloodletting. All right, Vunva. I talked before when we were back at the Asta, the coma, about how the Ammer would get another Ammer out of this situation, and Vunva is the way. Have you had, a limb severed or nearly, or chopped off completely? Vunva is your answer. This is quick and dirty battlefield healing. This isn't fun. This is, let's get some blood on there. If it's a small enough wound, it will heal completely. If it's a bigger wound, it will start the regrowth process. And in the case of the Asta, once an Ammer starts to feel blood in their mouth going down their throat, even if they're not fully conscious, they're going to be drinking that right quick. And then start their coming back to consciousness. So, as I said, this is more sort of battlefield healing. And as we know, the Ammer do like to fight a lot of battles. So, now we get to the more fun one, Vunveon. This is multi-purpose word. It means lovemaking. If you're wounded, it also is healing at the same time, 2 for 1. If an Ammer is exchanging blood with their Ammer Nafsh during the act of sex, Vunveon. It's the nicest thing in an Ammer's life. And you have made it through to the final word, the Vistarasha. This I've been talking around. This is the mortal death that you die to become an Ammer. So, this isn't the other one. This isn't the final death as an Ammer. This is you as a key transforming to an Ammer and becoming undead. Going from being a living vampire to a dead vampire, the Strigoi Mort, Strigoi View to Strigoi Mort. So this is a pretty big deal. If you'll remember the Ferhesh Teshnesh, that's the first meal you drink after this process takes place. It can take place for a varying amount of time, depending on the strength of the blood in your Vunanya. The blood, the Vun from your Patar. This, or the extent of the injuries that led you to die, it's going to take as long as it takes. And you need to be in a secure place, away from your enemies. So that was why Ammer were often buried, or why they will rest in a coffin. They just kind of need to be stored safely until they're ready. And so you do want to have other Ammer around waiting for that moment. And then very quickly, you're going to need a key, or more than one key, because you've got a powerful thirst. So, thank you for coming with me on this word journey. The reason that we're doing this right now is that the Blood and Ancient Scrolls series is being republished with all new covers, fresh new edit on the inside. Let me get that up so you can see it. I just love this cover so much. I love all the new covers. That's going to be on September 19th. Blood Ex Libris is out in the world again, and then after that, the next 2 books will drop every month until they're all available for you to buy again in their shiny, improved versions. And then after that, new books in the series will be rolling out. So it's pretty exciting for me. But I wanted to get the words out there and ready for old fans dipping back into the world and new fans who are coming along. And welcome to all of you. Thank you for taking the time to have these funny words put into your brain. Thank you for your patience with me. I get long-winded, but it's because I'm really passionate about this topic. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, drop me an email, send me a message on any of my social media. I love nothing more than chatting about all this deeply nerdy vampire stuff. Thank you.